Hello, hello, hello. Good afternoon, everybody. How you doing? This is good old Grandmaster up here on the Anonymous Liberty Media podcast, as well as the channel on YouTube. Also, we're going on my original channel. We're doing a 3-platform type one here. Story: comedians fight back. All right, comedians have been really. Well, first I'm gonna. There's a story from Timcast, one of my favorite YouTubers, Tim Pool, did a story about a comedian that had enough. He fought. He told a college in Florida, why don't you fucking grow up? And it's, let me see here if I can find it. Wait, wrong. I need my. There you go. Okay. Well, comedians have been around since the dawn of time, since the bullshit. I mean, comedy. I'm saying stand-up comedy is one of my favorites. Slapstick, like the Three Stooges, is one of my favorites. But it seems that the woke culture are pissed.
Comedians appear to have begun snapping. They've reached their limit in the culture war, and their outrage, the outrage culture is just too much. It's too much. So here I am. I just did a video earlier about Dave Chappelle, and I will say this right now, you seriously need to watch the Dave Chappelle Netflix special. That man is a legend. But I also want to throw it to Joe Rogan, Ricky Gervais, and other comedians that are refusing to bend the knee to the woke outrage culture. You do you. Much respect. These people can't get us down. Well, as I talked about this, and then sure enough, I'm browsing the news like I do, and I come across this story. Pete Davidson berates University of Central Florida audience, "You should effing grow up." And I started laughing. Yes, they need to grow up. This is a college audience, and apparently Pete Davidson just started wailing on these people. Not necessarily about woke outrage, but he did call them the R word, the ableist R word, which I can't say on YouTube. Yup, that's right, I can't say it. It's so ridiculous. But he called them effing R, you know what I mean, for being dumb, and it was epic. Now, in this circumstance, Pete Davidson isn't necessarily talking about woke culture or any of this outrage, but he is talking about how these young people are just whiny babies, and they boo him and they're upset, and he's like, "Oh, please, grow up." And I'm like, yes. So I want to highlight this, but I also want to talk about Ricky Gervais doing the same thing, right? Just a couple weeks ago, saying, "Don't apologize." And then I want to I want to go back to a little bit about the Dave Chappelle thing, because the overarching theme we have here is that it seems comedians are going to be the cavalry riding into the culture war saying, "Enough. We're going to make jokes, and you can't stop us." I think, I can't remember who this, I think it was Matt and Trey from South Park, or they said if you can either joke about everything, or you can't joke about anything. And they're right. If you make a joke and one person gets offended, so you apologize, well then why not apologize to everyone?
Pete Davidson is the comedian that made fun of the Texas congressman who wore that patch up over his eye. And he got tired of it. Like, he got tired of being really not liking being portrayed as like that. Well, if you're a politician, as well as a stupidly woke college student, and you cannot take a joke. Matter of fact, you don't belong in Congress. You don't belong in politics. If you cannot stand a comedian's mocking of you, which is a joke, maybe a political joke, but it's a joke. Whether you like it or not, it's a joke. Now, if you are a college student, part of the woke culture, also known as verbal terrorism and shit, which they're basically don't want anything funny unless it's funny by Ellen DeGeneres or Joy Behar. Comedians are now fighting back. Comedians are dropping the nuke on the woke culture. Telling them, why don't you just fucking grow up? Okay? You're adults. Yeah, young adults. Grow the fuck up. And, now, at the time of Don Rickles was one of the funniest old guys from classic golden age of comedy of Hollywood. He knew how to hit the right buttons and get a laugh. Now, if you cannot stand humor, then...
And that's the point. So Dave Chappelle, man, did he go nuts. I mean that in like a good way. Like, he just was like dropping nukes. Some of the most offensive comedy I've ever heard.
Listen to this.
Seriously. Yeah, but let's read this story about Pete Davidson. So they say, the university is not pleased with how the comedian handled himself. Well, I am very pleased. Props to you, Pete. Pete Davidson on Monday night berated an audience at the University of Central Florida after some people in the crowd took out their phones. Davidson was captured on video lambasting the crowd for more than a minute, saying he would leave if they did not act accordingly. I don't have to be here, said the Saturday Night Live cast member at the tour stop. I can just give them their money back because I don't give an F. Saying UCF, in his opinion, is the middle of effing nowhere, Davidson called the crowd privileged little a-holes before making the situation even more uncomfortable. That's why the world is going to end in 25 years, because you're all effing are. Yeah, there it is. I can't say it. I mean, you can see it on screen. I'll get in trouble anyway. He said, you should effing grow up. There were some laughs as Davidson ranted, but it turned into a smattering of boos and random heckling. Here we go. This is the best. Oh my god. After about 90 seconds of insults, Davidson announced he would continue the show. I just wanted to scare you, but grow up. Seriously, he said. UCF officials confirmed to the Hollywood Reporter Davidson did continue the show, which lasted around an hour. Still, the university was not pleased. Mr. Davidson's abusive language, particularly his use of a derogatory slur, is contrary to the University of Central Florida's values of inclusion and respect for all. Mark Schlube, UCF spokesman, told the Hollywood Reporter, it's disappointing that his rant spoiled an event that was meant to welcome students back for the semester. I don't think so. In fact, I think that was incredible. Now, it's not necessarily about wokeness, but it is about him going after the privileged sensibilities of these college students who, oh no, you're offended. Too bad. I would have loved to be sitting there. I'd love to go to a show where someone just ragged on the audience. I'd be laughing the whole way.
If you're privileged?
Yes. As I mentioned in the past segment, we all deserve a pie in the face every so often. No one is above scrutiny, and this is epic. But let's do this. Let's jump to the next story, because I didn't talk too much about this. I did a little bit, but here's the thing. Pete Davidson telling them to grow up. That's exactly what they need to hear. You're adults in college. Chill. Poor babies, huh? Well, Ricky Gervais is also taking on what they call verbal terrorism. Yup. Ricky Gervais is the man. Joe Rogan, Pete Davidson, Dave Chappelle, you guys are epic, and you are carrying on the legacy of people like George Carlin. Much love, much respect. So
not just Carlin, but
the National Review says
Don Rickles.
The left should listen to comedians more. Yeah, well, they're doing a really bad job of being funny, I gotta admit. This is why the left can't meme. Because they're just unfunny and they're overly sensitive and scared.
You
Ricky
guys on
Gervais
the left,
calls
you're not
himself a
fucking
lefty
funny.
liberal champagne
You're
socialist.
fucking stupid.
But when he says, I don't agree that feelings are more important than facts, he echoes Ben Shapiro. Yes. The point of intersection. Both men support speaking freely. This quality makes them somewhat courageous, though it shouldn't.
Oh, yeah.
How did free speech become a right-wing issue? If you go to allsides.com, they show you how they define left and right. And I kid you not, a website is defined as being right-wing if they promote free speech. And it's not all sides' bias. It's a fact, and we all know it. The left in media has abandoned the cause of free speech to the right, and that is insane. Because it is the left that has used free speech to challenge oppression from the get-go. And now what do we see? That story earlier today about an Antifa professor losing his job? Well, that's your ideology, and that's what happens. I disagree with it, but that's what...
It's at a point where I want to tell you guys something here. It's time to stop saying who's allowed to have free speech and who's not allowed to have free speech. If you work in the media, you have a right to free speech and freedom of the press. Bar none. No bullshit. If you are a regular citizen, you have the right to free speech. If you're a columnist, if you're a radio guy, a scriptwriter of a movie or a book, you're protected under free speech. You could be a comedian, a writer, an author, a scriptwriter, a playwright, a journalist or reporter in the news, media. Okay. You have a right to free speech and everything under the First Amendment. The First Amendment ain't no left or right thing. It's alienated by God. You have you're a human being. You have a right to say what is needed, what you want, as long it pushes just the right buttons to get a point across. If you're offended, that's fine. It's okay to understand that if you're offended, big deal. But when it comes to issues, that's social issues, important social issues, it needs to be looked at. It needs to be clearly on both sides and all sides that freedom of speech don't have limits. Certain areas do have limits. But when it comes to comedy to a point that if you're offended over a joke, over a joke. George Carlin made a joke. He was talking about this 30 years ago. He said that people get offended over the joke of rape. Is it true? Yeah. But it's how the joke is put together, how it's constructed from beginning to the end is the punchline. Now, he mentioned that how come I can't joke about rape? What happens if you joke about Elmer Fudd raping Porky Pig? Hey, Porky was asking for it. No, hey, no. Porky had a hard on. No, whatever. No. But they're trying to label things. Try to relabel certain words like shell shock during World War I. Shell shock. Different syllables of the meaning. Shell shock, battle fatigue, from battle fatigue. It went from battle fatigue to operative some exhaustion, then to PT, then to it went from shell shock to battle fatigue to post-traumatic stress disorder. They keep changing the words. They keep softening the words. If battle fatigue was, no, if shell shock was still used, the Vietnam veterans would have gotten the care a long time ago. But since they keep changing the word, stop changing the word. Toilet paper, bathroom tissue, same fucking thing, but they're changing the word. Like a blind person becoming visually impaired, a deaf person becomes hearing impaired. Handicap to someone with learning disability. Well, whatever. But they keep changing the word. They keep changing the meaning. Now, why is that? Why are you willing to change a word every time? Stop changing the word. It needs to fucking stop. I mean, comedians have made people laugh for a long time. For a very long time, comedians. I mean, I'm a big fan of stand-up comedians, from Lenny Bruce, Richard Pryor, George Carlin, Don Rickles, to Red Fox. And to Robin Williams, Richard Belzer, Bill Hicks. Chris Rock, Sam Kinison, Buddy Hackett. I mean, you gotta understand of where I'm going to. Andrew Dice Clay. You know, you have to not judge people. Now, there's a comedian that I'm subscribed to where he has hecklers all the time that don't like his shows, that don't get the joke, or he'll have hecklers just wanting to go in there just to cause trouble. If you're a comedian at college like Central Florida or any university that's controlled by a fucking college bureaucrat with their own agenda. Oh, about that, if you're a professor at a college and you have an agenda, you don't want to work at a college and have an agenda. Why, you say? Because you are a professor to teach students, not to use your position as a professor of whatever college or class you're teaching, because you have a certain political agenda. Keep your politics out of your teaching, because it's not good for your students. Because just because you have an agenda don't mean that your students don't want any part of it. What you're doing is you're forcing your students to go along if they want a passing grade. You're basically holding that passing grade over their heads to go along with the agenda that you have. And if that agenda is dangerous, you're putting the college reputation and your students' lives in danger. I mean, for example, Yvette Furlaka. She's a middle school teacher who is a member of BAM by any means necessary. She got arrested for assaulting a guy who was no threat, but a protester of BAM. They surrounded this guy. She started beating him, started punching him and shit. This 5-foot piece of shit started punching the guy. Doesn't that guy have the protection under the First Amendment to protest peacefully? Yeah. Was he antagonizing anybody? No, wasn't. Whether you're protesting against something that's meaningless, or if you're heckling or you're booing somebody who's telling you, fucking grow up. You're adults in college. You privileged piece of shit. Grow the fuck up. Grow up. It's time. You're adults. Your parents stop raising you once you turn 18. You're an adult. Grow up. I'm a father. I'm a dad. I'm a father of a really cool son. Smart as nails. Smart. Good. I mean, very intelligent, very smart guy. Very smart. He's working and he's going to school. And he's one of the smartest I ever know. I'm proud of him. Very, very, very smart. Very intelligent. And he has more smarts in his little finger than any dumbass at any college. Part of this woke culture. And I'm very proud of him. And for his age, very intelligent. And not just that, but also can see through bullshit. Funny. As a dad, hey, I can laugh at any joke that my own child can come up with, and it is funny. And looking back at comedy, there's times that comedians from back in the day, comedians from back in the day can make a joke, a clean joke, can make a dirty joke and a clean humor that even an audience member wouldn't be like, they would laugh but still don't get the joke. Because in that joke there's an innuendo. But Pete Davidson is the comedian that again made fun of the Texas congressman with the eye patch, and he actually appeared on Saturday Night Live next to Pete Davidson, and they kind of shook hands and made peace. But even though, yeah, it was a joke. I mean, Saturday Night Live was known for many years of making fun of political figures like Jimmy Carter, Gerald Ford, Ronald Reagan, George H.W. Bush, Nixon, and it was funny. It's funny. It wasn't back then as it is now. I mean, whether you're a president or a senator or a Congress individual, you should laugh at yourself once in a while. Don't take things personal, because a show that's been for the last 44 years, since 1975, made fun of presidents, senators, people in other media outlets, even celebrities. They made fun of celebrities, and they even made fun of the war on drugs. You know, the Chevy Chase scene where he's trying to there's a scene where he's in his chair, he wrapped this thing around his arm, and he did this, and instead of using a needle and syringe, he used a joint to try to put it in his vein. He tried to inject a joint in his vein. That was the comedic part, is that you cannot. But what it is, it's making fun of the drug fight, the drug war culture, because that's comedy. Trey Parker, who's a co-creator of South Park, said, if you cannot make fun of anything or everything, don't make fun of anything at all. You know, I mean, it's part of life that if you, as an individual, if you're at a comedy show, or if you're at home watching a TV program, a sitcom, and very rarely you'll have some serious shit, because basically it's mostly comedy, but there's some episodes that became a drama in a comedy program. But there's a pro and con on what can you say when you're seeing this. It's drama in a comedy. But we're here talking about stand-up comedians. Dave Chappelle, Ricky Gervais, Pete Davidson, so on and so forth. Fighting back, telling these college kids who are adults, who are now part of this woke culture now. Like, they call it the woke culture. And they're calling comedians and people that verbal terrorists. Verbal terrorists. They're fighting verbal terrorism. Okay. Whatever, no. Verbal terrorism. I see that's the new label that they're putting in. If they don't find anything funny, then something's wrong. Something is really, really wrong. Comedians have, you could try to come up with a slam on somebody, but you don't want to do it who's been coming up with comebacks for decades, for years. And the comeback is kind of like a sledgehammer. It's verbal, but that comeback will kick you in the nuts. For example, if Al Bundy was a stand-up comedian and he had the best comebacks, he would make a college kid cry. No bullshit. And he would make that college kid cry to his mama. Now, if you watch the 11 years of Married with Children, you look at the comebacks from Al Bundy as in, holy shit. Why didn't I think of that a long time ago? These comedians are dropping nukes on this woke culture bullshit, it's hard to even understand why the boos. Well, I guess if you realize that, hey, if you don't like the comeback and being told, hey, fucking grow up, hey, if you don't like that, hey, you're an adult. You're an adult, and you realize, hey, somebody is going to tell you one of these days, fucking grow up. There's times that we don't like hearing it, but hey, it's life. It's life. It is life. You have to understand, hey, if someone tells you that, hey, it means someone's serious, and they're not fucking around. They're not fucking around at all. And it's for you as a college student, part of this woke culture bullshit, to realize your parents stopped raising you. Once you turn 18, you're an adult. Act like it. How many times have your parents told you, act like an adult? Be an adult. Don't be a little shit. You're an adult. You're 18 now. You're in college. Grow the fuck up. But it seems that once these students go to college at 18, it seems that they're drawing back to their childhood. Being spoiled little brats. Young adults, young college adults, dropping back to their childhood as, like, thinking, well, I'm special. No. You're a spoiled little brat. You're an adult who's acting like a spoiled little brat that needs to grow the fuck up. Be an adult. You're in an adult world now. Grow the fuck up. And it's not easy to hear. until someone tells you, dude. But the comedians are dropping nukes on this woke culture, this woke bullshit thing. And is it a culture? I don't know why they come up with this shit, because they're labeling words that they have no meaning. Now they're saying that the freedom of speech is a right-wing thing. Is a right, like, freedom of speech is not a left or right-wing thing. Every individual in this country has the right to free speech. And you cannot tell someone that they have the right to free speech. Why are you telling them that? They could be a comedian at your college telling jokes. Steven Crowder was at a school with Miley Yiannopoulos and Miss Christina Hoff Sommers at a college 3 years ago. And even Steven Crowder made a point. And he roasted a couple people. And they didn't like that. Fucking grow up. We're in a era now that it's really out of whack. Really is really out of whack. And as a guy that's part of Generation X, Gen X, even I saw, even back then, it was out of whack. Even the adults back then were easily getting offended, over anything that's said, but that's not worth being offending over, It's just that it is time for every college student to grow the fuck up. If you don't like what's said, don't be an asshole your whole life. It's just that it's just a time that, for example, if comedian Don Rickles was still alive today and he went to these colleges, he would tear every single college student that booed a new asshole with his comebacks. Because if you try to heckle or boo a comedian like Don Rickles, you would be verbally emasculated. Verbally. Andrew Dice Clay. Andrew Dice Clay. Oh man. I had no word for that except 2 words. You're fucked. Because someone like Andrew Dice Clay, who's been a comedian for over 35 years, would tear a hole verbally into any college student that booed or heckled. He would tear you not just a new asshole, but a dozen new assholes with his comebacks. And you might want to leave the auditorium because you basically became put in your place by a comedian that for 35 years has told raunchy jokes for 35 plus years, and he even had a TV show on Fox for 5 seasons. So if you're thinking about heckling or booing, don't. I don't even think about it once you enter a comedy show, because that comedian would carry you a new asshole. Maybe even multiple new assholes, where you'll be I mean, if you're a college student, don't. This is the advice you're getting from Grandmaster Evan here. Comedians have been known for good comebacks. Okay? Comedians have been known to give people that boo and hecklers new multiple assholes. Steven Crowder done it. Okay? Joe Rogan has done it. Recently, Pete Davidson. What's his name? Dave Chappelle did it. Ricky Gervais did it. Dropped the nuke, the comedic nuke on the woke culture. Wait a minute. I mean, if you're thinking about heckling or booing, you might want to sign. You might want to sign a insurance policy for your feelings, because they're about to get nuked. And I'm gonna tell you right now, stand-up comedy is one of my favorite things. Even Slapstick by the Three Stooges is one of my favorite things. You know. I think that after your parents kick you to the curb to go to college, once you turn 18, that means you're an adult. You are an adult. You're no longer a child. You're an adult. 18 years old, you're legally an adult. Simple as that. You are an adult. No bullshit. Big time, pig time, no bullshit, no more or less. No more, no less. You're an adult. These college kids, for security, fall back into that their feelings need to be mattered. Bullshit. They're just feelings. They have no merit. They have no backup. Go fuck yourself. Fuck your feelings. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, this is good old Grandmaster Evan here. I want to thank you guys for watching on my original channel and the Anonymous Liberty Media channel and the Anonymous Liberty Media podcast on Anchor. I would also like to recommend Anchor FM. If you want to do your own podcast, download Anchor on your iOS or Android device. And the podcast, episode 93, Comedians Fight Back. I do highly recommend check out Tim Pool's channel. Also, check out Timcast on Minds.com. And also check out the Anonymous Liberty Media. Check out the Anonymous Liberty Media on Minds, MeWe, Holness. Whoa. Check out Minds, MeWe, Holness, BitChute, Tumblr. And also Canund as under ALM 76, MeWe at Grandmaster Revan. That's you know who. And under this name, Minds, Holness, BitChute, Tumblr, Twitter, the Anonymous Liberty Media. And I want to thank you guys for watching and listening. Again, I'm Grandmaster Revan. Knowledge is free. Being down with that, we got 3 words for you. Go fuck yourself. Peace out. I'm Revan.